The possibilities are endless if you leave behind the time management treadmill, if you leave behind the time grinding. Time understanding will offer you more than effectivity. It will offer you self-love, flows, creative adaptability, using time as the grid to massively improve on everything in your life. It will make you better at work, happier, more than you can imagine. Building our time intuition takes almost no effort, as the data points are already around us. We experience time all the time, but it takes time. And we need a backup plan for the period from when we start being aware about time until we have an intuition to work with. And I hope this period will start today for you. But as I don't want to demotivate you that it will take years until you can feel time properly and have the intuition, here is a quick fix until you get there. Basically, a plan B, which also helps plan A, the intuitive plan. It is of paramount importance to ask others the time question until you have the intuition developed. And the time question is very simple. It's, what do you do all day? If possible, give me a minute-by-minute breakdown of your typical day or working hours. A minute-by-minute breakdown of a day is as close to reality a story can get as humanly possible. Maybe boring, but it's very real. So how did I figure out the importance of the time question? A Brazilian clown, yes, an actual clown from the circus, barely illiterate because he had dropped from primary school to travel with the circus. He was elected to parliament in a record-breaking vote. And how did this happen? It happened because he used this amazing ad. His name was Tiririca, which means grumpy, and he asked his voters, what does a federal congressman do? Surely, I don't know, but vote for me and I'll find out for you. And this slogan and others like it made Brazilian voters who really wanted to know vote him in. But it's so strange that I had to hear a Brazilian clown with literally a third grade education for the first time say out loud one of the most important questions in life, and as a joke actually. Because no one would dare ask it for real. We truly live in a super strange world about time and what we actually do. So you can ask the time question everywhere. You can ask people about their work, you can ask students about their studies, and parents about their parenting. It's the most educational question you can ask someone, along with the how do you feel about it question. These are the two questions that bring life, details, and nuance. Because everything else you hear may just be bullshit words floating on the surface, dodging a real answer, if we don't feel fully comfortable enough to tell. But these two questions, what do you do in your day, the time question, and how do you feel about what you do, the favorite questions of the therapists, there is no dodging. Unless you are asking a hardcore liar, you get the truth with as little bias as possible. And while it may sound annoying to ask a single question that has a 20-minute answer, and you might get some weirded reactions at first, deep down, almost all people love to share, so they will share at length what they do all day. And while how do you feel is the central game of self question, what do you do in your day is the central game of life question. Ask it when you want to know, ask it when you care, ask it so you're in touch with reality. Because we're about to reconstruct reality. Why? To improve our game of self. Because time understanding can help you indirectly with your mental health. If you want progress in the game of self, say less fears, the smart way is to set up such a game of life environment that fosters this change. Say one way you have to face those fears, one in hunter mode. Constructing certain situations in the game of life is not easy, as many factors are not under your control. You need to understand yourself, other people, how systems work, all of those structures, but also time, as time is a component of everything that happens to you. If you don't have the intuition about how everything behaves and evolves over time, you cannot construct. Here is a construction failure for my own life, because I both hadn't yet developed time intuition and didn't ask the time question, so I was a newbie. I had an year-long sheep mode period of low happiness, low confidence, maybe slightly depressive. Before I started university, I was feeling slow, lazy, unmotivated, but I thought my elite university would help. because it would be a challenging, time-intensive environment where a lot would happen. And of course I would meet new people and everything, but also I was counting on it being like challenging, busy. But it turned out I was mostly waiting in hallways, hanging around in cafes, doing nothing, lots of small talk, not much studying or challenges or anything actually happening for the first 3 months before the first exams. What was studied was boring, and there were no challenges. The challenges I needed on my timeline to speed and spice up my life, they were still not there. And then I made the next attempt, which was a success, a construction success. What did I do? Things got better emotionally after I played a shit ton of small chess tournaments in the next 6 months. Much more than you are supposed to play, even as a professional, because I was playing basically all the time. I was playing so much I didn't have time to train. In that year, I was the second most active player in the whole country. It was supposed to be tiring. You were not supposed to play so much actual competitive chess where you play tournaments with money prizes and everything. But instead it felt so rewarding because after the university I finally felt my time was being spent for something of value. In the time of a boring lecture I could play a game of chess like 50 decisions, 50 moves, hundreds of calculated variations, all under time pressure, let's say in an hour, which was exactly what I needed to shake off the fog and the slowness from my brain and return to hunter mode. And this worked. The truth is I felt what is needed, something dynamic, but my time intuition failed me and suggested university will be dynamic, and in fact it wasn't, because I didn't have the data points about that, and it was just wishful thinking basically. And because I didn't realize my shortcomings, I didn't ask the time question as a backup. With a chess approach, I was in my own backyard, on my own territory, and the construction worked, but the university could have been avoided if I only had asked the time question. I could have asked university students older than me, what do you do all day? And they would have told me, yeah, we have some lectures, they're pretty boring, we hang around with other students, yeah, we wait a lot of times for the professor to arrive or for them to sign something or for us to get something before the exam, after the exam, to give a project, to take the project with evaluation, like a lot of waiting around, a lot of just lagging. And if they had told me this, then I would like, okay, maybe I go to university, maybe I don't, but I would not rely for the university to get my life back into the dynamic, fast-paced time pattern that I needed. On a side note, it's important that your constructions stay on the intuitive level. Don't become logical, concrete plans, because plans never seem to work. Because when we plan, we add unnecessary pressure and expectation to the planned ideas, and just we reduce their odds of success because of this pressure. And it's important that your constructions do work, so it's better to keep them intuitive, conceptual, vague, as we want them to work and improve our well-being. If you don't apply pressure and logic and leave them to intuition and creativity, constructions do work. You secretly like them because just like the seeds of the ideas in the masterpiece movie Inception, they are your own creations. And if you ever use an Inception seed from elsewhere, say a self-help book, for a construction of yours, be damn sure to find a way to tweak it and make it feel your own. Otherwise, your subconscious will reject it as foreign. This is why I Grow Younger doesn't give a lot of concrete advice. We are leaving you space to create constructions of your own so that you can feel them as yours. Here are my principles about time understanding. I have applied these in the last 15 years of my life, and in this period I grew a company from scratch to 8 figures without major risk, so not a lot of debt or lifestyle sacrifices. In fact, my lifestyle was better than the average 9-to-5 worker. I work from home or from anywhere I want, flexible hours, no alarms, no commuting, no bosses, and not much time on the phone. All of this happened despite me being extremely inexperienced in every aspect of this path, making an unimaginable amount of wrong choices. I think time understanding was one of the few things that I actually did right, along with the industry choice of SEO and domain names, which was, of course, also partially luck. And any success has luck as a huge component. I wouldn't tell anyone that they can just achieve the same level of success with the same level of effort, but this is why you try multiple times. Here are the principles that you can use for time understanding, and of course you can apply them in your own way, but some I think are pretty universal. So we can divide our time in the following concepts. First, we have unforgettable times, where the quality is infinity. Some of your time is so beautiful that it's no longer quantifiable. The moments that take your breath away, the moments you never forget, they are not just moments in time, they are life events. Never sacrifice the potential for those for any quantifiable time. If you want to go for a romantic walk with your loved one, go, and work and money be damned. You should not care of anything you are not doing right now. It's important what you are doing. We will call these times priceless, as they are not on the usual time worthiness scale. If your work somehow has priceless moments, that's amazing, because it's not the case with most people. Then we have your time's worth in money, what I call the quality floor. How much is your hour worth in cash as a minimum benchmark? If you have to do some gig only for the money, below what hourly rate you say no. This changing figure will be our base for our next thoughts about your relations with work and money. Never let this figure influence the priceless time priorities in your life. They are priceless for a reason. Now you know how to remove, replace, or renegotiate work-related activities that are not rewarding and fall below the quality floor. However, there is a problem. Reward of our time spent is often a mix, and we don't know what we're working for. Is it money? Is it something else like satisfaction? Let's try to segment those, because those mixes can be quite confusing. Why do we mix objectives when working? If you feel you work 1 hour of something mostly for the money, be honest. It's probably almost entirely about the money, like 99%. If you feel you do it mostly not because of the money, be honest. 99% it's not about the money, and you would then do it for free too. No, maybe it's still mostly about the money. So you just have to be extremely honest with yourself about this. With yourself, there's no place for lies, no place for the concept that you copied from society, only truth. Maybe ugly, maybe doing everything for the money. Well, that's a way to live. You can grow from it to more meaningful places, but you have to admit the truth to yourself about what is happening now. So, why are we so sure the imbalance is close to 99%? So you're either doing something almost entirely about the money or almost entirely not about the money. Because money and flows like joy and meaning are so different, so incomparable, that if you can actually try to compare, it's a huge difference. If you don't feel which is the main thing, it's a good mix, as it brings you a lot of both. But if it's imbalanced, the smaller objective usually better be left behind, so you can focus on what you really care about. And if it's the money, no problem. Still a way to live, and you can still go places from this point. And there is nothing wrong, no matter what the distribution is. The point is not to be judgmental to yourself, just being honest. And if it's about money, remember, money are just a tool for improving your freedom. They are not the points that make you a winner in life. It's not gamification. Money is a resource, and one that you need at least some of. All of this helps you keep in touch with your time quality floor. But why focus on the money so much? Because actually short-term money is one of the hardest things to earn in life. There is a huge, very ugly, not very ethical payday loan industry that is taking advantage of this. If I tell you make $1,000 over the next hour, it's borderline impossible. But if I ask you to learn something in this hour that will likely bring you $1,000 over the rest of your life, you have thousands of good options that will lead to this. For example, you can read or watch How to Be a Hunter in I Grow Younger, and if you just follow this one rule, one extremely simple principle, which is always opt for hunter moves if they are physically safe, it will probably bring you much more than $1,000 in return. It will bring you probably 5-6 figures. But it's very easy to earn future money if you understand the game of life and the game of self well. If you understand boxes and flows, it's very hard to earn money now. But remember that the future's present is today's future. This dance in time between hard money earned today and easy money that you can earn in the future is what you need to develop an intuition about. To compare better, it's easier when you have some time when you only focus on the money and sometimes you forget about money completely. But what I observe instead is that most people end up with a mix of a half fulfilling, half promising, half well-paid job. But this balance is misunderstood because we need to know what's going on. We need to be able to feel the flows in our lives and fill the boxes like numbers and amounts of money. And when we mix those up, our intuition disappears because of the complexity and because we mixed things that are not really mixable. While it's good to be balanced in any given moment, any situation comes with two attributes: the situation itself and its potential for change and improvement. And if the potential for improvement is extreme and the chances for its realizations are high, it's better to accept a temporarily bad situation, take the chances for a positive extreme. When you try enough times, the risk spreads and you struck gold eventually. Most people never try, which only improves your chances in a capitalist world based on competition to score your wins. Other people with their half-fulfilling, half-promising, half-well-paid jobs, they have their comfort zone trap and they descend into professional sheep mode, which they do the same thing every day and they don't develop. How do we create those extreme potentials that most people are missing on? To create easy future money, you need to focus on the future as much as possible. If you only focus on raising your current skills and wage from, let's say, $20 to $25 an hour, you forget that in that hour you can make thousands of dollars of future money. For real, that's reality, that's not wishful thinking. If you do the right things now, future you will earn more money for the rest of your life. So the better deal is to have the minimum needed, keep the $20 so you don't end up cashless, but forget the incremental improvements of the $20 and aim very high. Build your whole mindset about aiming high. And you should aim high not just in monetary terms, but for everything. If I tell you to make $100,000 in a year with no preparation, you need to find a good job or start some business. If I tell you to make $1 million, your pool of options will shrink significantly. The ideas for a high-paying, boring job or some stupid niche blog like an astrology blog, earning money from Google ads, they're just out the window. While trading stocks stays in the idea pool. But then if I also tell you that no extreme risk is involved, including business risk, then if you want to make $1 million safely, trading stocks are now out the window. Too risky. So it's robbing a bank. So where am I going? The higher you aim, the more only the best ideas stay in your option pool. You get rid of bad ideas, the best ideas stay. You may not know what the best ideas are, but you will find them when you aim high. If you don't aim high, the pool of ideas is diluted with semi-good ideas or even bad ones disguised as semi-good ones. The effective ones, the ones with less market competition, better plan B option, less risk, they will be in this pool of a little ideas that are left. In chess, we say that a good move is good for all the reasons, not just the ones that made you spot it. And this is somehow how the whole world works. For example, when you get into a rich micro industry, not only there will be good money, but also as the competition will be already rich, they will not be motivated to compete hard or nasty or defensive to newcomers in the market. When you find a good option, the stars will align in your favor. If they don't, it's not actually that good. And don't buy the complete BS myth that the economy is perfectly balanced and every opportunity is saturated proportionally to its potential. It's just far from it. The free market has too many flaws. Humans have too much sheep mode, too much delusions, and the dynamics in supply and demand always open new opportunities where people largely don't take advantage of them because of mass inertia. They're just being too slow. And now that we know that we have to aim high, what does this have to do with time? Time always allows you to aim high. Just remember this, because if becoming a millionaire is easy, how about 10 million before turning 40? So you can just then engage in some meaningful humanitarian work for the rest of your life without having to depend on annoying donors. And I kid you not, 90% of the worst or average ideas for becoming a millionaire, like being a lawyer your entire life, or they just vanished from the pool of options because you now need 10 million before 40. And you can employ this at every level. You passed the school test with 2 days of study, next time try a day. Still get an A? 3 hours. Then 2. Decrease until you really mess up. Only in this way you'll find out your true, super intuitive, powerful brain, what it's capable of. Ironically, people pay money for speed reading courses, which is essentially the same. If you just want to do things faster, then you eventually do them faster if you have the right motivating structures. Why not learn speed reading at school, making thousands of dollars of future money an hour while having more time left for the priceless moments with childhood friends? Just aim high. Now, back to the mixes. The mix of time and money and non-quantifiable aspects like education and meaning in a single workplace may get in the way of aiming high because we are mixing quantifiable with non-quantifiable things. So when possible, simplify things. You need money in your life, you need meaning, but no one says they have to come from the same job. Explore your options. If things feel wrong, if it feels like a mess, explore different options. Value your time high in cash, but also be ready and happy to completely donate it when educating yourself, when giving back, or when you're searching for meaning. It makes the data points needed to build your time intuition clearer and the process faster. Also, simplifying this makes it easier to live without expectations, which is something I highly recommend. Simplifying often means quitting, and quitting is a highly underrated skill. Think about it. If you always quit everything boring immediately, you never do boring stuff, which means you always do different and interesting stuff and build an intuition from the ages with the amount of diverse data points that you have, while your peers are still in higher education cramming. And quitting is also connected to the main defensive skill you need in your life, which is the skill to say no to opportunities or people will be improved when you develop a loving, understanding relationship with time, how you're spending it, and the high value you see in it for yourself, your loved ones, and the world. And speaking of the value of time, let the past stay in the past. Don't judge the time value of the past. You have a lot of time in your life. Never obsess about having wasted any single period of time, even if it has been hugely ineffective or unfulfilling. It's usually not a waste anyway. Your intuition is improving over time, even during times that seem like they were wasted. No pressure on single periods. Keep the repeating stuff that makes up the big picture. So, improve it. The future awaits you. To summarize, priceless time always has complete priority. Then comes a mess of time, money, and your other values. Try to simplify and remember that current money is a hard necessity, future money is easy, but one day the future money will be the current money of today. And you want to be in a better place then than your current place. And the way is to aim high and thus leave only the best low risk, high reward options to get there. Focus on money or meaning or both if strong, but not a lot of one and a little of the other. As my experience is that this clinging and not letting go of the other is the worst configuration for progress. When something no longer feels a worthy time investment, quit immediately. Learn to say no and don't dwell on the past.